Good day and welcome to session 4 here with George from Morbit. George, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
I know George is going to bring us a lot of information here with a history in Cisco, Kali, Pexip, Neat, now Morbit. I think you bring a lot of wealth to the industry. So thank you very much, George, for bringing and hopefully sharing some of that information with a lot of us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure, Ben. Really pleasure, of course, to be with you and to share, of course, how we can see this market today, because this industry has changed significantly the last time. Quite soon now we are seeing a lot of changes. That is what I would like to highlight as well today during this session.
Thank you. And I think you've been involved with a lot of hardware and software over the years. And I think you've seen the transformation. I think at the beginning it was very slow. But with time, there was a massive speed up, a massive transformation of how people use video conferencing. But I think you have kind of transitioned to a more information depth environment at Morbit. And just kicking it off with what is the most critical areas enterprises need to maximize effectiveness of the technology investment? How do business make sure they retain that investment? And how do you see that changing over the years? Back in the day, I guess video conferencing systems were kept 10, 15 years long. Now it might not be as long, but how do you maintain that technology investment?
Yeah, thank you, Ben, for this question, because I believe you are spot on what happened today to the technology. I believe you spoke about data. I believe everything is about data. The single biggest lever is getting the right data to make the right decisions. And I believe in the past the hardware was quite smart and was doing a lot of things for you. Now today the device is along the backbone of the company which is the IP network. And based on that, of course, the technology investment only pays off when you can actually, measure its performance. You need to collect the data to be sure, of course, you are doing the right investment into your company. That means knowing at any given moment, what's working and what isn't, whether meeting rooms are equipped to match the company strategy or not, whether that 20 people meeting room is used by 20 people or only by 4, or let's say also how all users experience the communication in the best possible way. I mean, these data are critical. It's exactly what today companies are looking at. I will go even further, because as you might know, it's an information shared by Microsoft, but 95% of Teams meeting are made from the desktop. That's why, yes, of course, meeting rooms are important because it is a way you are putting people together. But at the same time, if you do not see, 95% of the call, you are still, that's a massive blind spot. I may say you are still blind into the communication you are putting in your company as well. That's why this is the main point. I may say the goal is clear. The real-time overview of your entire environment is really based on fact, not guesswork. Now, today, companies, they need to know what they want to know as well about the usage of their technology. Without this visibility, enterprises are essentially flying blind on investment that cost millions. I experienced it myself, visiting some beautiful meeting room. By the way, it is also what I'm doing with some customers. Wow, your meeting room is beautiful, maybe 30,000-40,000 US dollar of equipment. How many times do you use it? And in many cases, customers, they don't know how many times they use it, but they spend 40K into the meeting room. That's why, we really need to change this game as well. The transformation is also directly impacting, the system integrators and the service providers. That's the reason why I would like also to share a message with all our partners we have across this market, and supported by KTA in South Africa as an example. Today support is no longer about reacting, assigning someone to solve a problem. It's more about being proactive as a support, where issues are anticipated and resolved before the user can see it by themselves. And embrace support automation, I may say, and data collection to deliver the highest service quality at a lower cost is really something I'm really inviting, most of the players today in this industry to think about.
Okay, well, you've said a few things, and let's try and unpack that a bit. And to automation, we'll get to. I think AI and automation is a big buzzword. But let's start off at the more realistic environment. And today, some companies have got branches, and some people do remote work. Now, I mean, a lot of companies are pro that because of obviously the rise in fuel cost, and we consider that for our employees, to make sure they're equipped. But even if an employee is just working from home, or you've got a different branch, IT always seems to be one of the departments everybody wants to cut at, and a lot of times it comes with that you don't have a support person at every site. How does that change then the environment of businesses, knowing, hey, I can manage anything remotely. What what what's the game changer in that regard if you start using something for remote management and everything from one point?
Yeah, yeah, good point, Ben, because it's exactly, of course, what I was, saying just before, about, companies default to on-site visits because they simply can see what's happening today across their infrastructure in real time, across their full organization. And of course, different companies do not have the same resource, of course, to make it happen. And as you know, if you react on-site, the problem already happened. It is exactly what we want to avoid, and that's why it is really, let's say, a question internally for the IT team, but also externally with the supplier you get as well for support, to support your user. Because without unified visibility, boots on the ground, feels like the only way to stay in control, which I believe it is a mistake today. Today, what they're missing, knowing that working, of what is not working, that's without leaving the office. This is a remote management. And today, all devices are connected on your network. That's why it is quite easy, to connect with the device, to know exactly what's going on, and to, of course, detect the different issues on this communication. And that's why, having a platform, to have a remote connection on everything is a key driver, because now I believe, let's say, the service, when you have to call someone, hey, I have a problem. Yes, Mr. Customers will come in 4, 8, 12 hours. Of course, it is finished, because today, if your user is not happy, you are just losing your efficiency, and you're losing your meeting as well. So that's why, of course, it is very important to have a remote connection to see exactly what's going on and to have a platform to manage it. And I just would like to add something as well. It's about the user, because you spoke about, the home office. Today, working from home, it is becoming the norm. And as I said before, 95% is on the desktop. You need also to see what's going on and to have this overview as well. That's why a single platform with remote access and centralized visibility makes most site visits completely unnecessary. And you are saving money, you are increasing the quality of your service, and it's a key driver today in this market.
You're talking about one platform. If I'm using one platform to manage all of my devices, how does IT work change in that regard?
It is even more than a work change, I may say. It is a revolution. I would like to tell you why. Because the IT team shifts from firefighter to strategist. In that case, we are not here to solve and to fix an issue at a certain point. We can anticipate what's going on. Issues are spotted, and resolved before user even notice. No more, reactive scrambling or whatever. The outcome become measurable. We know today, from our experience, that you can have 60% faster issue resolution by the remote connection. You can have 50% lower support workload if you don't have to go on site as well. This is a key driver today for the company, and it's really a revolution. Instead of juggling multiple vendor dashboards, everything lives in one place. It is finished now to move from one platform to another to know exactly what is going on. It is done. The working day becomes proactive, plan, and data led. We know exactly what's going on. enterprise core business is not about IT. IT should be invisible, and this is what we want to do with the platform. This is not a work change, as I said. This is a revolution, because I really believe today, we need to have a remote access to every device to anticipate the problem and to make IT invisible.
What's quite interesting when I think back on in school days, what would happen is when it's a rainy day or it's a sports event, people kind of did not really pay attention in class. They almost use it as a day off. And I
Yeah,
kind of see that, coming through to the corporate world. Kind of when people are going, hey, the printer is offline. Let's take a 20-minute break. I'm sure IT is just restarting. Oh, my software is offline, or this is offline, or the Wi-Fi is offline. So I'm just going to give it 30 minutes. I'm sure IT is working on it. But that loses, productivity. And it then takes somebody to go report it. And only then IT is reactive towards it. How does live monitoring and a live system change that time you're potentially wasting or losing in a business versus, hey, I can immediately change my uptime if I've got real time notifications?
yeah, exactly. This is a point I will tell you. I believe this is the core of course also the big change where we see today in this market. Invisible IT is actually great IT. Today we need to make it invisible, and that's the goal. The goal today is to make IT invisible. Real-time monitoring, flip the script. IT finds problem before the user does. That's why, the user does not have to call, oh, what's going on? We bought this technology, it is not working anymore. This time is over. Today, it should be up and running all the time. So call quality metrics like, most, mean opinion scores, jitter, packet loss tracked continuously, no ticket raised, no meeting lost. No one even thinks about IT anymore. This is what we are talking about. That invisibility is the highest form of service you can provide to your customer. It is exactly why, today thinking about a platform from a enterprise point of view, from a customer point of view, but also as a service provider is a key driver today into this market. This is let's say, the new norm, I may say, and the new conversation we have with customer today.
I think if I look at the world evolving today, there's a lot of emphasis on work from home that's been placed. But I think a lot of times people don't understand the comfort of your home you're working in. It could be the view I have, it could be my coffee I have, it could be my neighbor. And I think the same translates in a lot of ways to, you know, your office environment. Because I think a lot of times business owners or directors or even just managers don't understand the movement of their people in the office or how their office is being used actually. But there's a lot of things that it could impact why people don't work in certain sections. And you could be wasting money paying for retail space or for floor space that's actually not being used because something like aircon is working overtime or not working at all. There's a noise, but you don't have that data. You only have complaints from people, but you don't actually have the data. Is there a way that your office or your environment can actually tell you how it's being used by different people, by different impacted by different things, and you could go back and investigate? Is there a way your space could tell you that?
Yeah, you touch another good point. It is about, again, as I said earlier, it is about collecting the data. Today, the backbone of your company today is on your IP network. And as if you cut the network of any company, the workload stopped. And it's exactly what we want to do. Data change the question you're even able to ask. As an example, live occupancy shows whether that 20% meeting room, as I said, is it 20 people or is it 4 people? CO2, temperature, air quality monitoring, and the comfort of well-being layer. All the decisions you are taking for example, the asset management, the real estate management as well, the decision of office layout, heat ventilation, air conditioning investment, hybrid work, become evidence based, not guesswork. You see what I mean? It is becoming an evidence. The building stops being passive and real estate and become a live data source, where you can see exactly, okay, what do we do well, what we cannot do as well. That's why it is much more over, the usual communication as well. It is about collecting the data. Today, some technologies can collect, through sensors, a lot of data, as I said, CO2, temperature, humidity, occupation, blah, 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 etc. It is a key driver today for the company. And as you know, it is even more true in Europe, but it will come also in all the region. Now there is a contract, for 2030, to be, as healthy as possible as a company as well for the CO2 emission, etc. This is exactly what we need. You need to measure as well as a company, and this is what you can do as well. Again, how many meetings room I have seen in my long career, fully equipped and used maybe twice quarterly, sometimes twice yearly. That it's exactly what you want, of course, to improve and to be sure that your user has the best experience possible in their enterprise.
So, talking about that, do you believe companies are wasting money on office space?
Almost certainly, yes. And smart building data makes it possible to ignore. I really believe today, the smart building, and again, it is a goal. It is clearly a goal, to make your building smarter, because today you can see everything happening on your building very easily. Based on multiple things. You can of course do the remote connection. You can contact everything. You can collect the data for the call quality, but also for the healthiness of your meeting room, etc. Of the user as well. You can collect everything. Ghost bookings, for example, rooms blocked by no shows with no auto releasing, silently drain resource every day. You have a lot of things like this. It is utilization analytics. Reveal how rooms are actually used, not just low they are booked, but also the way they are used as well. Space optimization tools let organization right size their real estate, footprint, also with confidence as well. Just to give you an example, and again, you can find it as well on our website. I believe it is important. Numbers are really workspace optimization savings estimate to $60,000 per year for less than 500 people organization. We are talking about a lot of money. You are, of course, losing as well as a company. Management platform, I may say, is not only a tool for IT director, but now it is for all people involved in the strategy of the company. It is, of course, all the strategy. It is considering HR, because, of course, the health of people and the way they are working is extremely important, but also the real estate, also the asset management, because now you can have an asset management explorer to make sure exactly your assets are well used and well controlled. I believe it is clear, and it is, let's say, our mission is to make your building smarter, because with a smarter building, you are saving a lot of money and you're increasing the efficiency of your operation as well.
I think it's not just you saving money by you're not paying for that floor space. You're also obviously saving some of your working capital in the sense that you don't have to go buy more equipment because you're using a smaller space, or you're putting down less desks, or you're putting down not another aircon vent. So I think it saves a lot of that. And especially if you could manage it effectively to optimize it to its best benefit. So I think absolutely there's a lot of things that's maybe not even taken into consideration in the fact that if you do office rotation and you use less electricity and all of those plugs and desks and boardrooms are not running, you're also saving a cost, and you're saving on CO2 emissions as well, because you don't need to produce that amount of electricity from a utilities company.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess, as a human, you can only manage so much. So if I bring automation into the mix, do I make IT managers more valuable or less valuable using that? And how does that then impact the whole conversation we've been having up to now?
Yeah, this question is always coming, and I believe, of course, I fully understand this question, because how does it make, is automation, changing the game? Yes, it is changing the game, but not in a negative way, because it makes them significantly more valuable. The IT managers are much more valuable because they're not redundant. And of course, automation eliminates the work nobody wants to do, to make it simple. Repetitive site visits, manual troubleshooting, chasing expiring contracts, check everything. I met so many of my customers who are doing this till now, and of course they want to fix it, because today, of course, you want to, let's say, improve the quality of service you are giving to your users, but also improve the quality of your service yourself, of what you can deliver to your company. No IT managers, is happy, to run around all the meeting rooms every morning to check everything is fine, etc. Today, they can control everything. They can automate everything, because the journey has, let's say, three clear stages. You have the dashboards that inform, but this dashboard can be also through alarms. It means you can be alert at any time. There is the automation coming as well. Of course, it optimizes, the alarm and the messaging you are sharing with it. And finally, of course, where we are going now, I think exactly where the solution is key, AI agents that create self-improving environments. That's why with AI agents, you can, of course, think about, let's say, prove, I may say, the value of the IT manager, because the IT manager is not here, as I said before, as a firefighter, but more, as someone, strategist, to know exactly what is the most important for the company. At each stage, the IT manager evolve from technician to analyst, even to strategic architect, because the architecture of the way you are building your global, let's say, backbone of the company around the network is very important as well. And the person you can read occupancy data, tune hybrid, workplace, and design, automate workflow, become irreplaceable. You are becoming Mr. IT manager, IT department, irreplaceable, because you know how to articulate, your company to make it more performant, to make it more, efficient as well into the way you are doing things. That's why it is very important. As I said, it is true also for the people, playing, in this industry as well and working in this industry. And again, this is a message I would like to share to all our partners and the KTA partners as well in South Africa, because I believe it's important. The fastest integrators or service provider using automation will lead the game by improving service quality and reducing their costs. That's why I believe this is the time to change the game, and of course to automate, the process, to be sure you, of course, improve the level of service you are delivering to your customer, and at the same time you are reducing the cost, of course, of the service, because there is no human need, of course, to make things happen. I believe it's a big revolution you are living now, and we are just in this transition today.
Well, I think certainly if you look at the past 7 years or 8 years, you've seen the lead from boardrooms kind of been between IT and facilities. Over the past 3 years, I have to say I've got very little to do with facilities. And I think facilities almost just became part of IT. And I think, smart buildings, all of that is just the next transition that we're getting into for IT to manage it. But it's not just no longer a device you're managing, but also the health of your employees, like you've mentioned. It's understanding that me as IT no longer just play, if I can say this in the way that IT was always painted, you're no longer just the nerd of the company. You are controlling the company, because if you've got good oxygen levels, if you've got a good space for everywhere, you control the health of your employees to a large degree. And I think, with that changes coming, you're painting IT in a brand new way where they are, almost stepping into every role. And it's become more and more evident that all of these things play a role from, I won't say they're replacing everybody, but, the employee's health is important to HR, as an example. Your employee security, that's important. You've got your data security, that's important. You've got your uptime, that's important. And, IT touches every department. Not every department touches every other department. So, I think it's crucial for you today to understand the data that you're receiving. And if you've got the software to help you analyze all that data, make better decisions and give you guidance, I think, if you're open to that from an IT perspective, you know, you almost run the company on the back end. Without you, that company can't run. Networks go down, there's a problem. So
Yeah, exactly. You touch a point, Ben, and I really believe, it's exactly the point. Today, companies at a strategic level, needs to understand the way they can have an overview of what's going on in the company. And what's going on is, of course, passing by the tools you are using. Because today, okay, how many meetings, how many calls, you can measure so many data from one single point of control. You can have a very, very good control. In that case, you elevate, as I said, the different players in the company, I may say, because it is, of course, the IT team, the real estate team, the asset management team, the HR, the sales team as well, because, of course, you improve the way people communicate. Everyone benefits from having the backbone of the company well controlled and well managed. And after, of course, you can put the technology on top of it, of course, to make it happen, like the different technology you want to put in, sensor or video conferencing device, or etc., etc. But first thing is, do I have a good overview of what's going on? To be sure, of course, you can control and you can make the smartest decision on when you need to do. That's why the only message I want to share is don't buy technology for technology, but be sure you can measure the technology you are putting on your network to make your company as efficient as possible.
Well, there we go. George, I want to thank you very much for joining today's podcast and sharing some great knowledge there with the rest of us. And thank you so much for that.
My pleasure, Ben. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Cheers.